Hi, I'm Jed.
Hey, I'm Nina.
We're out here at Waimea. We're getting a little climbing in. A beautiful spring day, and we're here to talk about some crag etiquette. Nina, what do you think is some good stuff people should know about when they come to a crowded crag like Rumney, where there's a lot of people, small crag, big area, New York, Boston.
Right. Rumney is a really amazing meeting point for so many different areas in the New England area and the East Coast in general. So it makes sense that as climbing grows and more people are excited to get outside, it puts a little more stress on the outdoor environments. So Rumney, it's a small crag, not terribly small, but small enough to where you start to notice bigger groups of people. And lately I've been thinking of this concept of space, right?
Yep.
Like we have limited space, environmental space, physical space.
Space under the rocks.
Space under the rocks.
Or
space,
occupying.
Space on the rocks.
Yeah.
But being aware of what kind of space we're in and how much space we're taking up at the crag, and then making room for the space of other people.
And so what would you think were good things where we can make space for other people, not expand our own individual space?
Yeah, so when you go up to a crag and there's a bunch of people, right? They were there first, and I like to kind of see what the scene is like and think, okay, what is my plan for the day, and how can I approach these other people in a way that is open and curious and considerate, but also inviting them to recognize that I also have things that I want to do. So it's like a mutual form of respect that you want to start the day with. So I, will go to a crowded crag, take all of my stuff, right, and keep it contained. So, we find...
Not yard sailing our stuff all over.
Right. So,
we all have an issue with that.
Yeah, being aware of space, being aware of not taking up too much with all of our physical gear. So just finding a little spot, keeping it contained. I like to do a little walk around the crag sometimes just to see what other people are on, and how I can kind of change my schedule or make myself fit into the
Exactly,
day.
because everybody has an agenda, and really like coming in and just being a part of the community at that little spot where we're not like putting pressure on other people.
Yeah.
Or like making people feel unwelcome because we're wanting to get on our project.
Right, yes. So something to note about crowds at the crag, right, is it changes the social dynamic of what it means to be at a crag with a lot of people. And acknowledging the fact that, oh, there's a bunch of other people around, I'm going to smile and I'm going to say like, hey, how's it going? Cool, good day. Just sort of social formalities that put people at ease and just say, hey, you're here, I'm here. We can all get along. We can all acknowledge each other, right, in some little way. And that sets the tone for positive interactions down the line, because at some point, we're all going to be in line for
the big send,
yeah,
or the warm up,
right?
Whatever side of the spectrum you're going for.
Yeah, we're all going to be in line for something or another. Like we'll all be in line for the ladder at the Waimea wall.
Yeah.
And so it's totally worth kind of looking around, being like, hey, what's up with the ladder? Who's going next? What's the line like, right? So showing curiosity, asking with a curious tone, kind of lighthearted, and just staying open to what other people might also be working on.
And I think with more people that we see at crags, we're seeing more children, and we're also seeing more dogs and animals. And we want to make people feel welcome when they bring their children to a crag. Yeah. And we also want them to feel that if there's a dog at the crag, that dogs can be welcome here, but we want well-maintained dogs, and that's whole part of like creating that community within our community spectrum is going to be from the very young to the very old, and making sure that our space that we're taking up is allowing for other people to have that space too.
Right, so when you've got your kids or when you've got dogs at the crag, really important to be aware of the space that they take up as well, and making sure it's in a contained way. So if you've got dogs, keep them on a leash. If you've got kids, make sure they're not falling off the side of the cliff. Very important thing to look out for. And just, being aware of how all of your personal belongings, dogs, kids, etc., are oriented at the crag.
Yeah, I think this is good. Like we can leading into safety when we're orientating ourselves at the crag. Things like belaying, seeing a situation that's not safe. Like how would you approach that?
Ooh, good question. So if I saw a situation that was not safe, if someone, has messed up the belaying or struggling with cleaning an anchor, or there's like some miscommunication or tension going on, it's a really delicate circumstance because you don't want to barge in
Yes.
and say, hey, you're doing this wrong.
Or make them feel belittled.
Yeah, you don't want to make them feel belittled. Essentially, you want to approach those situations without raising the other person's defense. And in my experience, the best way to do that is with a sense of curiosity. Tone of voice also
I think
is really
tone of voice
important.
really matters. And with a genuine caring for the person versus like instructing or pointing.
Right. Again, totally natural to go into these situations being like, oh my gosh, like we have to teach them how to be better, right? But no, you just have to invite them to rethink the situation for themselves. So if you see something unsafe, if I saw something that was unsafe, I would go up to someone, whatever the circumstance, I'd be like, hey, how's it going? I noticed that, again, it kind of depends on the situation, right? I'm like, I noticed that maybe the gree set up backwards. Do you need any help?
Which does happen.
Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can help you with? It seems like you might be having some trouble with X, Y, and Z, or I noticed that your Z clipped or your back clipped, and just want to see if there's anything I can do. Like, kind of offer a service, and give them the power and the autonomy to say yes or no. Because in that situation, maybe they say yes. They're like, oh yes, please. We're stuck. We don't know what's happening. But
And I think the way you approach people is very much going to determine whether they say yes or no.
Right. Yes. So again, a really delicate, difficult type of situation, but worth addressing, right? Because we want to be safe at the crag. We want others to be safe. But there is that autonomy that we want to preserve for other people. So asking a question and inviting them, hey, do you need any help? Whatever that situation is, they can say yes or they can say no. Because if they say no, then you've offered
you've burnt that bridge.
You've burnt the bridge.
Yeah. So another thing is all little crags have their points of ethics. Like some of the things here, especially at Rumney, we very much want people to lower off of our lower offs because most of our crags are steep, and it comes to a situation where rapping can be dangerous. What do you see, like as you go to crag, what's a way to approach the ethics of every crag that you go to?
That's a tough question. Let's see. What are the ways that we can approach the local ethics of a crag? Doing a little bit of research ahead of time, going on mountain project, getting a sense of what most of the people do, the locals, seeing what kind of questions other folks have asked online, or
reading a guidebook.
Buying the paper guidebook, reading all of the background information that's always at the front of the guidebook, going through all of that, talking to friends of friends who might have gone, seeing what their experience has been. So doing a little bit of research, right, a little bit of homework into the trip. And then once you arrive at the crag, again, just being aware, kind of being curious about what's going on around you, seeing what other people do, and making your best judgment.
And let's touch on one of the bigger ones that a lot of people have been talking about, beta. Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love when people yell beta at me. I do not like to work hard. What is your view? How would you want someone to approach you with beta?
Right. Golden rule of beta, always ask if they want beta. That's just the foundational question. If you go up to someone and they look like they're struggling, our natural inclination, again, is to want to teach and help, because we don't want to see other people struggle or work as hard as maybe we had to do, but always be like, hey, do you want any beta for this? And maybe they say yes, or maybe they say no. Because I personally, if I'm on a climb and maybe I'm trying to flash it, or maybe I just want to figure out my own beta, I'll say, I'm good, but thanks, I appreciate.
And two sides of the coin too. If you're, I think, offering beta, politely ask, but also like if you're going for your on-site, politely decline.
Right.
Like, just remembering that we're not the only ones in the space.
Right. Yes.
I think, and that leads to a lot of stuff like noise pollution and our back into the yard sailing. Always trying to remember we're sharing the space, not only with humans, but also with nature. There's a lot of impacts that can happen. Not putting crash pads down in areas where there's live branches or grass or undergrowth. Outside of everything, is there anything that you would like to round up on?
Just I think the experience, one of the incredible things about climbing is that we can create whatever experience we want for ourselves. But as climbing grows, it is important to remember that other people are also having
The different aspects,
their
their
own
experience.
experiences. Yes, and in order for us to have the experience we want, we can also allow others to have their own experience. So that again goes back to the concept of space, keeping our own stuff contained. If you love listening to music, which I personally do, I really like listening to music when I climb. Not all the time, but I put some headphones in. I'll leave one headphone out, one headphone in, so I can still hear what's going on. But I'm not, I don't want to blast it on a speaker. I don't want to sort of
noise pollution,
impose my
your
own
yeah.
experience onto other people.
And I think where Rumney is now becoming a really good, it was always been a bouldering destination, but we're seeing more and more boulders. Part of that community, there tends to be a lot more like sit around, it becomes like a scene, and everyone will start going around a big boulders per se, and they'll put on the music and everything, and being aware that those things create conflict in other people. Some people don't want to hear the music, some people do want to hear the music, and back to your space thing. I think that was wonderful. I appreciate you coming out and talking with us.
Yeah.
That's great.
I appreciate all the work, Jed, that you personally do for the community. It's really amazing to see you organize all the trail days, and I know people are calling you up when the ladder needs repairing or when bolts need replacing, or you're out there doing the work, and that's what's most important. So thank you for your contributions. Big thanks to the RCA for tying everything together, and thanks to the New England community just for being rad, and it's a place that I will always call home.
And I know you leaving tomorrow, and I can't wait to when you come back and let's put down some more numbers and do some routes.
Oh yeah,
but
I will always come back to Rumney. There's a world of projects.
It's a world
here,
of projects.
So happy to be here.
Thank you.
Cool.
Dude, first burn. Just gotta have someone who knows what they're doing.